Welcome back to Gap Perspective with Haley and Janet. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Haley. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good,
We are
thanks.
happy to welcome Charlene Burke, who is a civic leader and community activist, a neighborhood historian, and a former magazine publisher, on this week's episode as we discuss how to get Gen Z more involved in their communities. Good evening, Charlene. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Haley, and thank you for having me.
So I'm going to get started with my first question for you, which is when you hear the term civic minded, what does that mean to you in the context of your own generation and experiences?
Well, certainly, I think civic minded transcends all generations. It's not just my generation, and it really includes yours as well. But I would describe it as an individual or group action aimed at improving the quality of life of the community.
Okay, interesting. What were some of the key civic issues or movements that shaped your generation's engagement?
Well, uh, I would say, given the fact that my formative years were beyond later than the 60s, but the 60s had a lot to do with civic engagement. That was the start of civil rights. That was certainly a lot of the peace movement or the anti war movement, depending on how you want to describe that. And also equal rights, particularly for women. So that those were very big civic movements that I think even being in high school and college throughout the 70s, that meant that it really helped form um, my involvement or how I felt about being involved in issues that are much larger than just me or my hometown. What do you think, Janet? Because you were certainly growing up that time as well.
Yes, I was. Well, I really wasn't an activist, which I think back now I probably should have. I was more interested in day to day things, not the scope of things, a bigger picture. But I do remember, of course, one of the things was the Vietnam War. I remember all the protests for that and all the younger people with their political views, mainly college age people that wanted to end the war and wanted peace. Also, the other thing was, I think the fashion, the lifestyle, um, the lifestyle of younger people was starting to change. It was becoming a little more liberated. The women's liberation started. Women were then coming out for themselves. They were not just staying at home. And that's what I remember. And free speech. There was a big thing about free speech back then. Remember that, Charlie?
Yes?
Yeah. And that was the things that I remember. I should have been a little more civic minded, but I wasn't. But I do remember the issues. Like I said, the Vietnam War, the civil rights movement, like Charlene said, and the Cold War.
Well, to speak to your point about this, about the war, uh, the protests against the Vietnam War, again, that affected the young people who were being drafted. So when it was really in our generation, or a little earlier than my generation, actually, um, when it affected them directly, they were outspoken because they honestly did not want to go to a war that they didn't feel they were had any vested interest in, and that they could possibly die or be wounded or be damaged, which actually lives with baby boomers today. Many veterans still have um, issues from the Vietnam War that they are grappling with as seniors now.
That's very true. My brother, for instance, with the war, he was, I believe, he was older when he got drafted. You didn't have a choice back then. You registered. I know they still do register when they're 18, but you did not have a choice. You had to go. That was it. You got that letter, you had to go. But back then, Charles, if you remember, if you went to college, you didn't have to go. So I know a few teachers today, and they're wonderful teachers. I'm not trying to take anything from them, but they would have never went to college if they had the choice of not going, but they didn't want to go to the war, so they went to college, and it worked out for them because they're wonderful teachers. They're probably retired now, but you didn't have a choice back then.
But I think to Haley's point about what certainly prompted our generation to be more civically minded started from way back then with the war and the fact that if you didn't protest or speak out, you were on a ship going east and you were going to Vietnam, and that was not what a lot of young people wanted, so they spoke out. And I think that really started them on the road. Whereas today, I would say younger people don't necessarily have that kind of confrontation in their life because of the government that makes them outspoken. So as a result, they are more not civic minded in the sense of a broader issue as much as they may, yes, they may register to vote and they may even vote. But one of the things I think has been problematic is that a lot of young people honestly do not register to vote and they don't participate in government in any way.
I definitely agree with that.
I
They
agree with
don't.
that myself as a Gen Zer.
Yeah. And Haley, let me ask you a question. Do you ever influence any of your friends to register them to vote? Or I know you did when we helped someone before, a candidate, but
Right.
have you since?
No, I haven't.
Might be something you might want to do, help your
Yes.
friends and talk to them about it.
Yeah.
The other thing we had, Charlene, you might remember this, was the equality, the racial problems that we had back then.
Mm-hmm.
It was really horrible. That's what led to the civil rights movement of the 60s. And there was many protests back then too for that. A lot of people became civil minded during that period because the way African Americans were being treated so unfairly.
Yes, tremendously so.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
My
And
third question for you, Charlene, and Janet, you can answer as well. In your opinion, what are some of the key differences in how baby boomers and Gen Z approach civic responsibility and action?
Well, that's an interesting one because I feel like Gen Z is more motivated by money in many instances. I know a lot, or those that I know, I should say they want to be influencers. Um, and the reason they want to be influencers is it's easy money, so they think. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know any influencers, but or I don't know how easy it is to be an influencer, but I think that they are motivated more by money than they are by just public good or improving their community. Um, Whereas baby boomers still believe that they need to show up, they need to speak up, and they need to follow up on issues. So when it's an issue that affects seniors, say, because we're all seniors now, these baby boomers, we show up, we get out of the house and we go to a city hall or we go to a meeting still. Um, Even though we have Zoom today, which since the pandemic has made meetings more accessible to those people who are find it difficult to get out of the house, but honestly, they know that it means showing up in person gets you often heard. So I would say the older generation still uses those older techniques whereas the younger people would like it to be all on Zoom so they don't have to get out of their living rooms or their bedrooms or their pajamas, for that matter,
It's going to say pajamas.
in order to participate. And maybe that's just a bias on my side about younger people. Maybe that's not the case, but it seems to be. Um, what do you think, Janet?
Well, I think that if it doesn't affect them personally, they don't want to be bothered. That's how I feel. I don't know if they care about the garbage truck coming at 2 o'clock in the morning, or if they care about the parks, people picking up the leaves or cutting the trees. I don't know what they really think about the civic area of their lives. Or do they think about it? Do you think about that, Haley? Do you think about your community, what's happening in it? What do people your age think about as far as their community?
Well,
If it's something you could say so.
with your comment about like the garbage truck at 2 in the morning, I feel like that's something that we don't really care about. With me personally, with like how clean our parks are and things like that, I would actually get more involved in, especially being a fashion major. I was studying a lot of like eco-friendly products and sustainability products as well. So those things I actually care about, but not so much how other things are ran.
But okay, so you care about that. So say you didn't like the way they paved the roads in the park, or they cut too many trees down. What would you do about that? How would you go about objecting to that or giving your opinion about it? What would you do? Do you know what you would do? Do you know how to go about objecting to those things?
I feel like with me personally and with my generation, right away we turn to social media. So we'll make like an Instagram post or a Facebook post and say, write a little paragraph and ask people within the social media community, hey, how can you resolve this issue? And then you get the comments and the repost. And I feel like with Gen Z, our community is all through social media now.
Yes, it is. I agree with you. And let me ask you this. Do you feel, I don't know, maybe we should do an experiment, Haley, about something after this podcast. Do you feel that you get the same results, or you haven't tried anything else, any of you? As if you would, if you went to a council meeting or met face to face with the mayor, or doesn't even have to be somebody like that. It could be just somebody from the community that could help you. Do you feel that you would get the same response if you
There
met with
may
them?
be there may be a 50-50 balance there because depending on what platform you post it on and like whoever's attention you catch from it, then you might get like the comment or the person you want to help you with the situation. But I feel like Gen Zers should come out of that social media aspect a little bit and kind of be more present in
Mhm.
real time and actually speak and learn more social skills that way.
In my observation of social media, seldom does anybody post on there. They'll all complain about, yes, this takes place in my neighborhood too, but they don't say, well, if anybody here has this complaint, send your complaint to the mayor, the head of the DEP or DPW or who it may be, so that you can get results. Everyone just seems to complain in this social media world without it always getting outside of that into the hands of the people who can correct the issue.
That's a very good point. So our advice to the Gen Zers out there would be to try to resolve your problem in a different way, not just through social media. Write a letter to the mayor, the city council, Go there, go to a town hall meeting, go to a council meeting, make yourself known. Like we said once before, Haley, remember about a job interview? We said sometimes you might not have all the experience on the paper. So when you apply to Indeed, they say, I don't think she's good because she doesn't really have what I'm looking for. But then you meet with that employer face to face and they say, I like her. She's a go getter. I think I'll give her a chance.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, it's the same kind of situation there. You make, I don't know, face to face to me always seems to work better. What about you, Charlene?
Very much so. And this is when, in the very beginning, when you asked me about civic in, involvement, and I spoke about individuals or group action aimed at improving the quality of life in a community, that means there's a lot of nonprofits that exist in most communities. And then you can divide that up into political and non-political actions. So political is voting, right? That's a civic action, as well as maybe participating in a block watch, which is watching for criminal activity or other things going on in your neighborhood. But non-political is often volunteering or joining some community organization, um, organizing an event, or even donating to a charity. But to your point, Janet, volunteering actually gives you the opportunity to move into another, uh, maybe something you would like to try, like writing a press release that you had never done before. Like you're in marketing, Haley, but maybe not this kind of marketing. Writing press releases, that's a different type of marketing, and it's using words. And maybe you would like to add that to your resume so you can do it for a nonprofit. And when you do that, you don't have the pressure of being fired for your job because you didn't do it well, or you may find a mentor, somebody who has done it within the organization that helps to mentor you. And that's one of the things I think younger people haven't really even explored, is finding mentors out there that would help them negotiate or navigate their careers. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be, if you're in fashion marketing, doesn't even have to be a person that is in your industry. It could just be somebody who has the experience similar to you in a different industry who could help you with tips and advice and strategies that could help you move up that ladder that you're looking to do in your career. And I think these volunteering positions, as you said, Janet, offer all those opportunities plus the networking with other individuals, which, as you mentioned, open doors that you didn't even know there was a door there to open.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I definitely think networking is a big thing. Especially after doing one of the campaigns with Janet and meeting all different kinds of people from different backgrounds. I think networking is definitely a big thing as well.
And one of the other things I have seen in today's corporations is that many corporations will encourage their employees to sit on nonprofit boards, and they will give them time off so that they can, in fact, participate in that community endeavor and be a contributing factor. And they encourage that because they believe that it makes a well-rounded employee who has, who they know, because you work in this other realm, you have a thinking cap on all the time about solutions or trying to make things work with few resources. So that's the challenge of the nonprofit world that you bring into the career that you have and actually become a a real asset to the corporation that you're working for.
And also an asset to that nonprofit.
Very much so.
Yes, because I had that situation myself working for an elected. I was put on a home for infants board, and I was on there for 5 years. I even went up to be the vice president of the board. And I got so much satisfaction out of working with that nonprofit. You feel like you're giving back to whatever the nonprofit might be. This one was babies. Yes, I agree with you, Charlene. That is a great way for some of these Gen Zers to get involved.
My
Yeah.
last question for you, Charlene, would have to be, what message or advice would you offer to Gen Z regarding their role in shaping the future of our society?
Well, firstly, as we discussed today, become more involved. I always tell people today, you are the government, because there's a perception that the government are all the elected officials and those people who are working for your municipality or your county or your state. But in all honesty, each and every one of us that has a vote, we are the government, but we vote for representatives. And then those representatives hire individuals to accomplish the goals of that municipality or county or state. One person, I will tell this to everyone that ever wants to change the world, one person can make a difference. You cannot always make a difference, but you can if you arm yourself with all the background information to a situation that you would like to affect change. And if you have a good solution or a rationale as why you want the direction to change. But the point is, you have to do it with a knowledge base behind you. You cannot just be speaking without having done that research and being assured that the other avenues that you're touting as to the government officials or to the organization, that they haven't been tried before and they were unsuccessful. So you need to do that research to make sure that you're saying possibilities are here and I've explored them. There's nothing in our way for trying them. And be polite about your presentation, but be persuasive as you can be. Be persistent, meaning do not give up so easily. If you hear no, or if someone doesn't listen to you right away, come back another day. Sometimes people have bad days and honestly become reticent about anything being brought to them. They just are not in the mood. And so you have to realize, to anyone that you speak to, and I mean this about life, everyone's going to say no when they maybe didn't give it enough thought. But if you come back and you have a good argument or a good suggestion, come back again on another day. Try a different approach. It can be possible that you just had gotten a no because it was somebody's bad day. Think outside the box for creative but reasonable solutions. And I say that because there are so many tried and true that just don't work. So, you Gen Zers, you have so much more information at your fingertips in a phone than what us baby boomers had. We had the Encyclopedia Britannica.
In the library.
That's correct.
Mhm.
And so as a result, we did not have that information available to us that you do. You today could research data on almost any subject in the world through your phone. And we just did not have that available to us.
That's probably why I didn't get that involved. I didn't know what was going on.
Yes, but sometimes they just don't want to be involved at all. I'm not sure how many people watch the news any longer because of its dark side.
No, they just get information again on social media
Yes.
and on podcasts like us talking. Same thing. I hope Gen Z is out there. If you have any comments or you'd like any kind of direction with how to get involved, please leave us comments and Haley or I will get back to you.
Yes, I like that. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, are we
Do you
wrapping
have
it up?
anything else to add?
No, I actually don't.
Well, thank you so much, Charlene, for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
To our listeners for tuning
Thank
in
you.
to another episode of Gap Perspective with Haley and Janet. We hope our conversation with Charlene Burke sparked some thought-provoking ideas about Gen Z and their engagement in civic life. Join us again next week. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, guys. We would love to hear you. Please comment down below if you'd like us to talk about a certain topic or anything at all. We love to hear from you guys. And thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Charlene.
Thank
Thank you.
you.